Hi guys, welcome back to Tigre Gitana. My name is Abby, and actually let me put this over here. And today, as promised on my Instagram, I said I was going to do this. We are going to break down the practice of Bibliomancy, which is basically is divining using books. It is done in a plethora of different ways throughout different religions and things like that. I know in Conjure we use the Bible mainly as the form, as the book that we mainly use, and it's really simple to do. It can take a little bit of practice to kind of get into the flow of it, but it is a really amazing, super easy practice, especially to do incognito. If you're like in a place where you can't just pull out tarot cards, or you can't you know, pull out a pendulum or go into a meditation or anything like that, and you have a book in your hand, or if you're a book reader, this is a really great practice to do. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to kind of maximize your experience, because it could be as easy as, you know, you grab a book and then you open the book and then you're like, I'm going to break it down, but it could be as easy as that. Or you can do it a little bit more just to maximize the energy of what you're using, because this is a tool that you can use in order to really connect to your intuition, your higher self, and work with your mercurial placements, because this form of divination works with two elements, earth and air. So the reason why it's earth is because where do pages come from? How are books made? From paper or from trees? That's where they come from. So it carries earth energy. This is a very Virgo thing to do if you also want to, if you have like those Virgo placements. And with the words, that would be the air part. So when it comes to working with air and earth magic, it's a really cool thing to do, because it's very kind of, it's very incognito. It's kind of like how you can't read people's minds. That's pretty much how it is divining with books. It's really about kind of getting tapping into a different part of your brain, like trying to deepen your connection using words, and allowing yourself to get triggered by words as well. So this is a really cool thing to do. I picked out 3 books that I'm going to show you guys for different reasons, because yes, you can use the Bible to do it. You can use any holy book to divine and do bibliomancy, but I picked different books for this because I just want to show you how versatile it's very, this practice, you can really take it up with anything. So I would say my first tip on how to kind of pick your books for this, I kind of, a lot of the time I'll go for like a vintage style book, just because they have a lot of character, if they've been through a lot of things. But when you're picking out a vintage style book or any book period, you're gonna have to go in and whip out the sage. You're gonna have to cleanse it through air in order to just go ahead and then bless the book. So I put the prayer for blessing your book that you're going to be using for Bibliomancy. I put that on my website. There's going to be a link down below, so that way after you've cleansed it with sage, you're going to go ahead and then do the prayer. You're going to put your hand in the back like this, in the front like this, and then you're going to bless it and say the prayer, and then you should feel the energy of the book as well change in your hands, because once you cleansed it with sage, the vibration already shifted. So you cleanse it with sage, you then say the prayer. You don't always have to do the prayer. I recommend doing the prayer because and to cleanse it, because you don't know what other energies it could have been carrying and stuff, and I say this for every book. So you cleanse it, say the prayer, and then you're pretty much ready to open the baby up and like divine. There's a couple of different ways to do it. Some of the traditional ways is to like let it fall like while it's on the spine, and then you just let it fall open, and then while you have your eyes closed, where it opens up to, then you basically, where your eyes fall is what the message is that you need to hear. The thing about, I don't do it that way necessarily. That's not the way that I do it. I personally like to actually get my hands up in the pages. So the way I do it is if it's a hardcover, I'll like open it like this. So, because I can't move that. And I like to kind of run my fingers through the pages like this. So I'll take the book and I'll concentrate and I'll be asking, can I have the message that I need to hear, whether it's for a specific situation or, you know, like today, can I have the message that I need to hear today? Can I have the message that I need to hear in regards to this person? Can I have some guidance from at this time? Whatever it is that you are trying to target, that's kind of what you want to focus on. And then after I feel comfortable, it's just like tarot in that way. When you feel like you should stop, stop. That's kind of how this goes. You could again, you can either do the whole spine thing and let it fall and do all that, or you can just, because this kind of helps to build a relationship with your book as well. So it's I think it's my favorite way of doing it. So after you feel very comfortable and you feel compelled to stop, there's gonna be some times where you'll actually feel the energy specifically in a certain part of the book as well, because right now I'm feeling it around this area. I'm not gonna force it to stop there, but if it does, that's where it's gonna stop. So after I felt I feel like I should stop, you can have your eyes closed with this or whatnot. If you want to kind of create a better habit, you should have your eyes closed, because that way you're not like, okay, you know, like looking for the line. So afterwards you just let it stop. You can open your eyes, and then the first place that it falls, that your eyes fall, is the message that you need to hear at this time. Then you can like do a meditation for it. You can, if you wanted to do a higher self meditation and, you know, have a conversation with your higher self or your ancestors or whatever, you can go ahead and do that. And you'll be able to kind of meditate with the words and see. Sometimes they're very quickly triggering, like you'll be able to like connect it really fast. If you're asking about a specific thing, you'll be able to like, it'll hit you relatively fast. If you are kind of just being open to the messages, you kind of just have to be like, let things flow. Because if it's something that's coming in, but you don't quite see it just yet developing, you just kind of have to just let that be like, it's part of your awareness that that thing is coming in, and those words are confirmation, and it's just a synchronicity of that. So I wanted to share a couple of tips and tricks as far as which books to pick for different things. Personally, the book that I pick for when I want to divine, like do bibliomancy with like love and stuff like that, I pick my favorite, basically romance, which is Pride and Prejudice, because it pretty much, this baby has like almost every type of situation in this book. And it's very, I like the way it's written, so it's very much, how do I say it? It's very, I mean, it's a very feminist book, so it has to, it deals with a lot of the ways I feel like women think, or the expectations, and it deals with different archetypes for women. So I personally like to use this to divine for my love situations. Another way that you can do love readings with bibliomancy is using like poetry books, because you will have like a lot of insight. If you're using poetry books, make sure that you understand that you are working with a lot of subconscious area in that field, because it gets very illusionary very quickly. So just remember that you are divining, and if you are kind of just, you want to connect more in a more poetic style, then just be aware of what you're working with, because when it comes to poetry they can be spells a lot of the time. So get inspired, but those are really good books as well to do for bibliomancy as well. But I really like using Pride and Prejudice. It's one of my favorites. It has guided me so well and given me a lot of insight. One of the other books that I like doing it with is I like really old kind of writers as well, and I like a darker style of writing too, because I feel like those are the darker style writing are kind of, they tap into like a deeper part of your conscious mind, subconscious, unconscious mind. So you're able to get messages from a darker place, which is very interesting. So I like to play around with a range of books that you can do this with. So I've been divining with The 18 Best Stories by Edgar Allan Poe. Recently, that's what happens when Venus is in Scorpio. Everything is a little darker. But those are like pretty much the 3 books that I've been divining with recently. I love doing it with vintage style books. I usually, like, I'll go to the library, I'll go to old bookstores, and like, not old bookstores, but like those kind of old bookstores, and I'll pick up like vintage style books or vintage books, and I'll divine with those. This one is called Gods, Graves, and Scholars by C.W. Saram, and I saw this book at a spiritual shop in Boston a long time ago, and it's vintage, but I completely loved it. I was just like, I grabbed it and I was like, oh, you're mine. And it's really cool because it has a lot of different information in there, and I'm a nerd, so there's that. So yeah, so a couple other tips that I wanted to share is how you can basically charge up your book, or treat it after you've stopped working with it. It's same as tarot. Some people charge their tarot cards on their altar with crystals and stuff. You can do the same thing with your Bibliomancy book. You can take a piece of selenite and just put it on top, charge it up on your altar, charge it if you're working with a deity that happens to be like big with divination or magic. Charge it up in their altar. I also like to use so clear quartz, selenite, Lapis Lazuli is another one of my favorites. You could just take the book, put the Lapis Lazuli there, and just let it charge up with that energy. It's another way of doing it. I think I pretty much went through everything with you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to share as far as Bibliomancy goes, and how I use it, how I pretty much incorporate it into my practice. I am going to start doing Bibliomancy readings on the weekends for you guys, so if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you're following me on Instagram, because that's where they're gonna be. But I think it's an interesting practice, and it's, especially if you love reading and you're not necessarily all full game into the audiobook world or the ebook world, this is a really good practice, and it pretty much is, every time I've done it, it's on point, basically. If you are using a holy book, just make sure you go into prayer afterwards. If you're taking a different approach to it, just make sure you go into prayer afterwards. You definitely need to meditate with the words after you do this practice, just because it requires reflection with words. Like, physical body requires reflection with your mind. That's why it's a practice it's 2 elements, earth and air. So your body and your mind need to reflect after you do this. Just keep that in mind. So the prayer will be on my website. I'm going to put it down below, so just make sure you check that out. All my links and stuff will be down below. Don't forget to subscribe.